This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, so it's Erev Tisha B'Av, and it's even brought in halacha that one is considered recommended to only learn now those topics that are relevant to Churban. It's not quite like Tisha B'Av Day, but nevertheless, Chassam Sofer explains that the reason for the restriction on learning during this time is because something that a person learns stays in their mind in the evening, and one may come to think about it in the evening. So we are in the middle of the Sefer Talmud Torah, but at this moment, at this time, just want to share with you a thought about the Churban that occurred to me this morning. We know that one of the great lovers of Eretz Yisrael and one of the great heroes of our people of the last century was the Kloisenberger Rebbe. For the first time in my life, I had the privilege to go to his kever this past winter, and my grandfather, Zol Gesundsein, met the Rebbe in the DP camps and was very close with the Rebbe. And the Kloisenberger Rebbe very much changed his Shita and his hashkafa toward Eretz Yisrael, and we spoke about this last year. And the Kloisenberger Rebbe very much felt that people should make every effort to go and live in Eretz Yisrael, and he was once asked by one of his Talmidim whether they should make Aliyah and move, and the Rebbe responded, Boyu Urashua Sa'aretz, just come, and once you come and you get there, you'll inherit the land. Just like Klal Yisrael were makabel the Torah without question, they said Nasa v'nishma, Eretz Yisrael needs the same type of thing. He would even point out that when Yoshua ben Nun conquered Eretz Yisrael, he had to first conquer the king of Cheshbain, Melech Cheshbain, which indicates that to go to Eretz Yisrael, one should not make cheshbonot, should not make cheshbonos. But there's an interesting story in how the Rebbe would see almost what nobody else would see. In 1967, when the old city was liberated, and Yidden were now able to come for the first time to the Mekaymes HaKadoshim, to the Kosel Maravi. In fact, my mother just told me that in 1968, that she was at the Kosel HaMaravi on Tisha B'Av in the very next year. She went with her family, and the Rebbe spoke that year, the night of Slichos, and there are actually still recordings of this drasha. You could hear it, a very moving drasha. And the Rebbe said that the return of the Jewish people to the Kosel HaMaravi in 1967 was literally one of the most painful moments in Jewish history. Painful moments. One would have thought this would have been one of the most exhilarating moments in Jewish history. Now, look how the Rebbe saw it. He gave the following mashal. There was a son of the king who behaved so debased and was so despicable that the father had no choice but to banish the kid from the palace. And after many years, the son is wallowing and languishing and full of sorrow. The father sends word, kid, come back. So the kid comes back. And the guards say, stop right here. And they stop the kid at some ruin, a distance from the palace. And they say, kid, you could go no further. And the kid said, but I want to go in my father's house. I want to see my father. And the guard said, no, he doesn't want to see you. Said the Kloisenberger Rebbe, yes, we have access to Eretz Yisrael. Yes, the land is liberated. But how do you think we should feel when the Tata says, okay, you could come back, but stop right there by the wall of the mountain. You can't even go near the house. You know the Kosel HaMaravi is not a wall of the Mikdash, it's the retaining wall of the Har HaBayis. Says the Kloisenberger Rebbe, in a way it is so painful that the father is opening up the land, but he's not allowing us to see him, and to an extent he's not ready to see us. What a painful moment. But it was very poignant for me, and perhaps we could add a positive spin to this. when I saw this morning on the last pasuk, the second to last pasuk of Eicha, Hashiveinu Hashem Eicha v'nashuva Chadesh yameinu kihikadem. God, bring us back to you, Hashem, and we will return. Return us to you, and we will return to you. Renew our days like yesteryear. There is an anomaly in this pasuk. There is a psik in the pasuk. After the words Hashivenu Hashem, there is a line. Al pi the Torah Shabbat Peh, al pi our Masorah, there's a psik. Says the Roikeach, Hashivenu Ktsas. First we will return a little bit. V'achar kach Karvenu Eicha Lagamri, and then God return us completely. That's why there's a psik. Because when God brings us back, there will be a stop, there will be a pause. First it will be a partial return, and then it will be a complete return. Says Roikeach, a mashal to the son of a king who rebels against the father, and after a certain amount of time, they reconcile. So the son can't go immediately to the father. If the son of the king gets into a disagreement with the father, the son of the king can't return immediately. First he returns a little bit, and then he returns fully. Where do we find this? Says Rekach by Avshalom. At first, when Avshalom came back, Vayeshev Avshalom b'Yerushalayim upnei aviv lo yirah. At first, Avshalom would not be able to see the father. V'yachar kach ba lefanim, and only then Avshalom returned. So too, Hashivenu Hashem b'miktsas v'yachar kach elecha legamri. So we could say, yes, the moment of our return to the Kosel Rabbi was a very painful moment, but perhaps we could understand it in the context of it has to be this way. It's not that Hashem is saying, I don't want to see you. It's that there's no other way to reconcile. It cannot happen all at once. So when we recognize that even this pause in the reconciliation is predicted in the Navi, where is it predicted with the psik? So now we can anticipate. We know Ribbon Hashem, Hashivenu Hashem, you brought us back a little bit. Being able to stand at the Kosel is epis something. Epis katseu sireh. It's something. Being able to go to Eretz Yisrael is something. But we recognize that we're missing the main thing, and that is B'sachazena einenu b'shuvcha letzion barachamim, the return of the Shechina. I once heard that Rabbi Yashiv, when he would daven, he wasn't marich b'shmayne esrei shaloi, but he said with great deliberation the following words. These words he gave the most emphasis on. Baruch atah Hashem, hamachazir shechinasai letzion. So we should be zoicha to, so to speak, get past the psik of the penultimate pasuk of Eicha. Get past that pause between Hashem and Elecha. We should be zoicha to the Elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekadem. Wishing everyone an easy tainis. Tomorrow morning, if anybody wants to log in, Kinnis will start about 9:45. There's a shiur at 2 o'clock. There's a shiur at our Chabura that usually gets together at 5. We'll be together tomorrow, 5:30, and then again 8:05 for those who are still able. Have an easy tainis, and should be zoicha to binyan Beis HaMikdash. Kol tov, everyone. Be well.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.